One. Welcome back to the current review. Thamsanqa Tu, sometimes known as TT, sometimes known as Chairman. We are back this morning, episode number 51, in a discussion about exploring the future of agriculture in the Free State. Because very soon there will be a dialogue on climate smart practices of agriculture with Dr. TJ Masiteng. The Free State Provincial Department of Agriculture, Rural Development and Environmental Affairs, in collaboration with the National Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, is hosting a Provincial Climate Smart Agriculture Dialogue. This event will bring together experts and stakeholders to discuss strategies for making agriculture and food production more resilient in the face of climate change. In this exclusive conversation, Dr. Masiteng, the head of the department, will provide insight into the perspectives on the objectives of the dialogue and what it means for the future of agriculture in the Free State. I think let's just delve right into it. Dr. Masiteng, thank you very much for joining us this morning. To start off, could you please start by explaining what climate smart agriculture is and why it has become such a crucial approach in today's agricultural landscape?
Thank you very much for the opportunity that you are providing us as the department. Yeah, let me start first by saying climate smart agriculture, it has been viewed widely or recommended in many cases as a viable approach to increasing productivity, enhance resilience, and also sustainability in farming, because those are the key issues that we are looking into when we talk about a CSA, which is a climate smart agriculture.
Apologies there. I think we were incorrectly.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I just wanted to check with you, how does this concept differ from the traditional agricultural practices, particularly in our province here in the Free State?
Yes, it does differ with the traditional way practices, in the sense that in this case, we are now looking at issues of soil management. We are also looking at the whole issues of saying, how best can we protect soil from soil erosion? How best can we rehabilitate the soil so that we can be able to make sure that when we plant productively, and also we rehabilitate the soil that cannot be utilized for agricultural purposes, but we create more space so that we can be able to plant more land and produce more. But also it talks to the issues of soil water management. As a matter of fact, because of the climate changes, we have a problem of high temperatures. As a result, the water levels are dropping, even if you have rains. But because of the high temperatures, you lose the moisture quickly. Therefore, it talks to that to say, instead of planting in the traditional way, also bring in some strategies that will assist you to make sure that you implement techniques when it comes to the irrigations. You also do rainwater harvesting and utilize the water effectively and efficiently. So it sort of moves away from the traditional way of doing things into bringing in technology into the space. So that is why we are calling it a climate smart agriculture, to bring in all those issues together to assist us to move away from the traditional way of doing things. We are also looking at the way we are grazing our lands. It's not in the traditional way of just letting animals and so on. we apply rotational grazing to let the land rest a little bit and recover, and then you graze it again. So we are moving away from the traditional way of doing things and getting into the new space of now doing things or planting the land or utilizing the land that we are having.
Yeah, and I see that your theme for this dialogue is improve the resilience of agriculture and food production systems by using climate smart approaches. Uh, what is the actual purpose or the objectives of this dialogue that we're having, which I understand started this morning?
Yes, when it comes to yes, you are correct. We started this morning, but when it comes to the overall objectives, the objectives is just we have brought in different stakeholders together, and we are saying to them, let us sit around the table, let us exchange knowledge, experiences gained from the research and the technology and strategies based on the successful experiences in the climate smart approach. So that is basically what we are doing. And we are also saying we need to work together in making sure that we send one message out there to our farming community, to our community at large. So that's basically the main purpose of bringing together different stakeholders to share ideas and ultimately to say what policies can we put into places to make sure that we implement and we send one message to our farming community.
And we understand that more than 60 experts and representatives from various sectors, including government, academia, and NGOs, will be participating in this, in this dialogue. How important is it to have such a diverse group of stakeholders involved in these discussions?
Now, that's a very good question. It is very much important to have such a diverse, because we have the farmers. We have invited the farmers. The farmers are the ones who are experiencing this. The farmers are the ones who are on a daily basis, work the land, understand the challenges that they are confronted with. So we have brought them here. We have also invited the institutions of higher learning, like the University of the Free State. They are also here amongst us. The ARC, they are also here, and many other stakeholders, the VKBs and so on. So we have brought them together to say, you are coming from different experiences. Now let us share ideas. Let us talk about the research that you have conducted on the drought resilience cultivars. Let us talk about the techniques, the innovations that you have implemented in your respective areas. And then having shared that ideas, we will be able to say, this is what it can work best for the Free State, more especially. Remember, we are in the Free State province. We will not be the same as in Mpumalanga. We are prone to veld fires, we are prone to drought, we are prone to outbreaks of diseases. So that's the whole idea of bringing different stakeholders together, so that at the end of the day, we can be able to say, these are the innovations that will work. These are the researches that have been conducted that can be easily implemented in our province.
Now, the local farmers that we have, that are participating in the dialogue, do you have them as a variety of, the small tool that developed much larger, entrepreneurs in the field of agriculture, or is it just the established companies that are in the dialogue itself?
What we did, we have invited them from different categories. We have invited them from subsistence, from smallholder up to a commercial level, because also the practices, remember, we start there at the food security level. The food security cut across. So we have invited them from different categories to give us the experiences that they had, to share with us the knowledge that they are having. Also from the commercial level to say, look, you are using irrigation systems. which one is working best for you, which one is saving more water for you. Share with us that knowledge. From the subsistence level, we are also saying food security is very important. We are now running short of the space to can plow and plant the vegetables and so on. What measures are you putting into place? Are you preserving food? What are you doing to make sure that there is food even when it is not a time to plant vegetables, but you still need, the body still need vegetables, even if it's winter. So those are the ideas that we are getting from them. And that is why we have invited different categories of farmers to participate into this dialogue.
And what has been their response to the, to the call to come participate? Is it as expected, or do you face some challenges there?
No. What we are getting positive responses from the farmers themselves. Like I have said, you start first. If you look at the areas like Thamsanqa Tu, for instance, that is where ARC was conducting the rainwater harvesting techniques. They are sharing with us their experiences, and they are very much happy with what they have learned. They are very much happy with the techniques they have learned in making sure that the soil that they are utilizing becomes more productive. It is not just a matter of planting, leave it there. It has got something to do with the mulching. It has got something to do with making sure that they preserve, they manage the soil properly, they manage the water properly, that they are heavy. So they are sharing different experiences that they are heavy. Even the Free State itself, if you look at it, you will have a challenge, because if you go to Mangaung Metro, for argument's sake, you get less rainfall compared to Thabo Mofokeng, where you get higher rainfall. So that assists us a lot in beginning to understand now that within the province itself, you have different experiences. You have areas that are prone to veld fires. You have areas that are prone to outbreaks of the locust, which affects now the fells and so on and so forth. So those are some of the things that we are getting. And over and above, the question is, what have you put into place to make sure that you don't encounter a problem? Because I can tell you now, climate change is here to stay. We need to catch up. We need to adapt. We need to acclimatize as the farming community, as a sector. And that's exactly what we are pushing towards.
And what are some of the innovative climate smart technologies or practices that will be highlighted during the dialogue as potential solutions to these challenges that we're mentioning?
Yes, one of them is, let's start with the soil rehabilitation. What we are doing now, we are now beginning to assist our farmers with the different methods of cultivating the land, different methods of making sure that they rehabilitate the land. We are just impacting that, and we are supporting them as the department. We have also moved now towards the irrigation systems, different irrigation systems that has to be put into place, even if it's a normal irrigation system, but we are looking at different ones to say, but the drip irrigation is better than just a normal irrigation system that we are used to it, because we don't have enough water like before. We are also looking at research in terms of the different cultivars. We tested the drought-resistant maize. We are still looking into it. We are looking also into different cultivars that we can test and say, look, for Free State, this one will be fine, having put it into a trial, because we are also conducting trials, which is the beauty of the whole exercise. People that are engaging in this dialogue are people who have also conducted different trials. So when they share the experiences, they share it based on the research, based on the trials that they have put into place. So we are looking at different systems that we can put into place that will benefit our farmers, our farming community, and the province at large.
And by the end of this dialogue, Dr. Masiteng, what concrete outcomes, and plans do you hope will emerge from this?
Well, by the end of this one, we are looking at coming up with a policy for the province now. We have policies for the national. We want to come up with a policy for the province. We want to come up with a strategy for the province in terms of saying now, this is the road that we are going to take as a province. And we know, as a matter of fact, even government is influenced enough by the different stakeholders to say we have agreed that this is what we are going to implement, and government can direct resources properly in assisting, because it would have been a sort of decided upon resolution by the different stakeholders. So at the end of the day, we want to have a policy directive, we want to have a strategy, but also at the same time, we want to pave the way forward in terms of the message that we are going to communicate out there in the form of an awareness now, because not all farmers are here, but we are going to come up with a strategy in terms of communicating the outcome of this dialogue.
And the strategies that I think would be, or that seem to that will be proposed from this dialogue is definitely towards a technology-based sort of intervention systems for many of these farmers, and this will have cost implications for these businesses who are in these farming areas or who are farming. What kind of support will the department and government offer to those small-scale farmers who need to transition towards this smart-based climate change approach to farming?
Yeah, let's approach it like this. One, it's a support in the form of awareness. Let's call it a technical support that we will be providing to our farmers, that we are providing to our farmers. It is also a support in the form of providing tools for them, providing them with the irrigation systems. It's more into a financial support to our farmers. It's a support in the form of mechanization that we are providing to them. It's a support in the form of agro-processing and value-adding, because there are farmers that we have identified that we are encouraging to venture into agro-processing and value-adding more than just producing and consume without processing what they are producing, which is a weakness that we have identified as a province, that we are called the bread basket of the country, but we are producing all the produce that we are having goes outside the province, processed, and then come back. So those are the measures that we are putting into place and making sure that we support our farmers with. It's not to say it's a talk shop, we leave them there, but we also package support accordingly to the different farmers and to the different systems that we want to implement and put into place.
And in relation to other provinces, Dr. Masiteng, how significant is our contribution as the Free State, in the farming space, all around in the country?
Look, the province itself, if you look at our province, we are the main contributors when it comes to maize. That is why there was this concept of the maize triangle. We are also contributing when it comes to a sunflower. We are also contributing significantly when it comes to the sorghums, and also when it comes to the livestock. We are contributing significantly to the country now at large and to the sector in general. So that remains important to the province to make sure that we put measures and we keep pace with development so that we cannot drop when it comes to food security to productivity. Because the moment as a free state we don't keep pace, then we will not only affect the province when it comes to production, but it will also contribute to the country at large. Because we are not only contributing to the province, but we are contributing to the country at large. And remember, as a province also, we are now focusing more into agriculture, because mining is dwindling. Mining is beginning to drop. So agriculture has been there even during the COVID period, and it is still the one that is also contributing when it comes to job creations, when it comes to food security. So it is important, becomes important. The province becomes a key when it comes to agriculture, and not only to the province, but also to the country at large.
And do you anticipate that there may be any resistance towards adopting newer forms of farming that are more technologically based, from especially traditional, like old traditional farmers who you are used to doing things the old way?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. We don't get a resistance as such. In fact, you get farmers that are thirsty to learn more about the systems, technology, innovations, and so on and so forth. So we don't get much of a resistance, but instead we are now rechanneling our resources to make sure that if we say you have to irrigate and this is the way you will irrigate, we need to put more resources. Farmers are saying, I have learned about this. I have realized that this is working better at Tabanchu, it's working much better at Harib. I also want to implement it. So we need to put more resources. Farmers are beginning to say, we have seen the benefits of agro-processing and value adding. So we need to put more resources into that. Farmers are saying, I have learned more about different ways of planting and getting more yields. Because the old way of planting, you will get less yield. You will get a 1 ton per hectare, for argument's sake. But with a new techniques, you can get up to 6 hectares and so on and so. So there are benefits also when it comes to learning more about the techniques than staying in the old traditional way of farming, keeping an animal and call it the father of them all, the mother of them all. It does not work when it comes to implementing the new technology and looking at the challenges that we are confronted with because of the climate change.
And are there any particular crops or farming methods that will be emphasized during the dialogue as key to ensuring food security under the changing climate conditions?
Well, what we are doing, we are looking at all the crops in general to say, look, when it comes to maize, do we have a drought resistance? Yes, we do have. But can we plant it on a larger scale and so on? What volumes do we have? What are the benefits? When it comes to livestock, what can we put into place? Because remember, if you talk climate change, and then we are talking temperature, high temperatures, heat waves, it affects the very same grass, and then it affects the livestock. What measures do we have in making sure that we establish pastures that will assist during the heat waves, during the high temperatures? What methods do we have? What systems do we have to put into place? We are looking now at the fire belts. Before, it was fine to have a 3-meter wide a fire belt, and then you know that your farm will not burn easily. But things have changed now. Whether you have a 3-meter or what, it rolls and then it moves into another farm, and ultimately you have a disaster. you have to declare an area as disaster stricken. Wild animals are affected, including even your normal animals that we are farming with. They're affected because you don't have a field for the next 6 months or so. So those are the things that basically one is looking into.
And looking beyond the dialogue, what is your long-term vision for agriculture in the Free State, and how do you see, the role of climate smart agriculture evolving over the next decade?
Yes, what we are looking at, the reality is that the population is growing. That's the reality. By 2050, there are projections that have been made that it will be double, but the land will remain the same. So it means what? We need to come up with strategies and means of making sure that the same land, we work it to give us more. The areas that we were not utilizing for production purposes, we must now come up with strategies of making sure that we are utilizing that space that we left it to be more productive, so that we can not have challenges of food insecurity when the population grows. But also, we are also looking at even the farming and normal farming practices that we are putting into place. We are looking into that to make sure that we keep pace, to make sure, remember, we are not only selling within the province, within the country, but also international. We are sending our produce out there. We are now moving into fruits and so on. So that space, we need to occupy that space. We need to make sure that we keep pace. So I see us moving forward, and after this dialogue, keeping pace and making sure that we produce even more. We still have a challenge of in the province, only of about 600 people that are going to sleep without meal and so on. We don't want that. We want to say we have enough food to can feed ourselves. We have enough food to can feed our neighbors. We have enough food to can also feed the nation at large. So those are the things that one would want to see it happening moving forward in as far as the sector is concerned.
And finally, Dr. Masiteng, what message would you like to convey to farmers and the broader agricultural community as they prepare to adapt to these new challenges?
Climate change is here. We are beginning to feel the impact of the climate change. And as farmers, we need to adapt, we need to adopt. We need to understand that we have to keep pace. Otherwise, we will not be able to produce as we used to produce. So that is the message that one can send to our farming community, to say, let us do our best to keep pace with the changes. Let us adapt, let us adopt, and agriculture is here to stay. We are, all of us, relying on agriculture to boost our economy, to contribute to the job creation, to contribute to the economy of the province and the economy of the country at large. So as the farming community, we are relying on you to close that space and to assist the country at large. And only through agriculture, I am positive, we will be able to make it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Masiteng, the HOD for the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform, and it's a very long name for the
Environmental Affairs.
Environmental Affairs. And we wish you all the best, man, for the for the dialogue, which ends tomorrow.
Yeah, it ends tomorrow. It's a 2-day dialogue.
All the best, and may you continue to feed the Free State. May you continue to feed the nation. And as you said, we also export some of our products to other parts of the world. All the best. That was Dr. Masiteng from the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform, and Environmental Affairs.